longer any molecular movement. Like all of the little tiny specks of matter have gotten so cold that they've slowed down, and there's like almost no movement. That level of entropy is also unity consciousness, in the same way that, like, the sun, or the presence of all information, the presence of all energy, is also unity consciousness. And that we are here in this experience as a refinery, refining substances in the direction that they are supposed to be going. So we have towards one direction of the spectrum, energy, organization, information. Remember I said that Christ is synonymous with consciousness, or Christ is synonymous with awareness, and that Antichrist is synonymous with anti-awareness, and that literally it is the interplay of these two beings, Christ and Antichrist, that have defined the experience of humans on Earth for like the past 2,000 years. But now we are in another era that is not defined by duality. Duality that comes from having binocular vision. Look at me, I have two eyes. That allows me to see a three-dimensional reality. It also makes me expect the world to be divided into two options: light versus dark, chocolate versus vanilla, male versus female. And in reality, there is a spectrum or a gradation between many, many things. So what we're talking about here is understanding these lower vibrational entities are consciousness that has not been refined to the level of unconditional love. They come to each one of us, like into your field of awareness. I previously used the analogy of someone hiding behind that screen, right? If they didn't want to be perceived, they could simply stay behind that screen. If they popped their head out over here and you could see them, you'd say, hey, Aurora, there's someone behind there. They would only do that and reveal themselves if they wanted to be revealed. This is what must be understood, that when these beings are attacking you, like now you guys are armed, essentially. You're peaceful warriors, and you have the capacity to protect and defend yourself from these beings. When they come to you, they are essentially saying, I know it looks like I'm punching you in the face, but what I'm really saying is put me out of my misery. Save me. Get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. They don't really want to punch you in the face. Of course, they'll be pretty happy if they actually punch you in the face. They love it. They love anything. So I don't know if you were ever plagued by this. I knew someone in Woodstock who was. Violent fantasies or violent scenarios that would just come into her mind, where sometimes she would just suddenly think of like people, getting their head chopped off with an axe, or like smashing someone's mouth with a hammer. Like these violent, like psychotic thoughts, they are not arising from you, or they were not arising from her. And I have felt them too. These are entities around us who would love to see and experience the misery that comes from that. Like if you're at the top of a stairwell, there's an entity there who's like, I'd love to see you fall down the stairs and break your legs, yay! And one of the things that you can say is no thank you, and another thing you can say is, I don't think so. And if you can, say it with all of the acerbic disdain that you can muster. Yes, I don't think so. Because this is like someone's trying to hijack your mind, and neurolinguistic programming, it's very powerful. Choose your words carefully. Saying, I don't think so, is like saying, with my mind, I choose not to create that reality. Someone else is trying to hijack your mind when they think, oh, wouldn't it be horrible if you crashed your car? Wouldn't it be horrible if you fell? Wouldn't it be horrible if blah, blah, blah happened? They are trying to hijack your capacity to emanate a horrible thing that you don't want to actually emanate. So some of these ideas are, be very true about who you are. Like really go on the journey of self-exploration. I am able to delineate between who's really me inside and who's not really me, because I know who I am. And this is like saying, like, I know what type of clothes I like. I don't usually wear certain things. You don't usually see me wearing like a tuxedo. I usually wear something rainbow. I know who's me. I know what outfits are me. I know what thoughts are me. I know who's the real me. I know who's not really me. I would encourage every single person to really go on the journey. Every thought, explore whether it is you or not you. Really question it during your day. When a thought arises, really ask it, like, where did you come from? Especially if it's one of these thoughts that just seems ridiculously out of place, about harm or self-harm or negativity or hatred. When they come up, I sometimes turn to them and I say, who are you? Like, where did you come from? Oh, I'll also give you another technique, but it won't work for you, but I'll tell you about my experience. I've been deputized. So this means that I'm also able to arrest attackers, because you know how I was chopping off a lot of limbs. So they gave me the power to be deputized. And now I slap the cuffs on these entities and I drag them into interdimensional court. And this is also appropriate to do because I'll give you a bit more information and then I'm going to check out. I know there was just information down in the chat. I got this from Salo Stanley. Salo is another walk-in, and she is a chiropractic and sound healer down in Fresno, California. And she's the person who clued me into this cosmic truth of great significance. Every demon is really the lower nature of an ascended master. It's like saying this demon is the shadow presence of this beautiful ascended being. So if you've got a demon that's troubling you, all you need to do is call upon the ascended master, who is the truth of that person. Like, call upon them and you say, or you can say something like this, I call upon the ascended master, who is that this is the emanation of, that this is the distortion of, to rein in your lower nature, to take responsibility for your lower self, because that is what every ascended master and all of us are doing. We're taking responsibility for our reverberations. So let's say if life is like a pool of water that is perfectly still, and I drop a world seed into that pool, and all of the emanations emanate off of it. There's a proportion of things that are really great that are in that emanation, and there are a proportion of things that aren't so great. And it's necessary for me, as the person that dropped that pebble, to take responsibility for the things that aren't so great. This is why the Ascended Masters are doing what they're doing on Earth. They're helping us a lot. They recognize that there are still some perturbations in the field. The perturbations are like interference pattern of waves not acting harmoniously, and those Ascended Masters are here to help to make those waves mitigated and moving harmoniously. So when demons attack, it is totally appropriate to say, I call upon the Ascended Master, that this is the lower nature of, to rein in your lower self. It's kind of like saying, you're an Ascended Master, please come down here and spank your lower self because it's acting very naughty. And at a certain point, really, we deserve the right to move through our day unimpeded. This is the thing that I would like to plant the seed in all of you. The idea of what it would be like if you woke up in the morning and throughout your entire day, you didn't have any intrusive thoughts. No one in your head except yourself. The only thoughts you thought were ones that you intentionally thought, like, I am going to put on my shirt now, or I feel hungry for some breakfast. And that during the day you would not be set upon by thoughts that are draining or negative, like the negativity brigade. This would be, I would tell you, a heavenly experience. Even though you would still be in the physical realm and have, drink physical liquid water and eat solid food, the relief of not being constantly beset upon by these entities would make this experience almost really divine and heavenly. And that would be just from vanquishing these beings. Okay, the flying rainbow lasagna is going to end this war. So this is part of the issue, is beings of light have become entrenched in the same way that beings of darkness have become entrenched. This means their identity, it comes from saying, I am a being of light and I'm fighting against dark, and this is what I have done for a very long time, and there's a hierarchy. It's just like having a war. One of the things that I've really resisted is using a military language to talk about our emotional and spiritual development and the ascension of the planet, because I liken the experience to one of birth, not to one of war, all right? And perhaps that is my human female biological container speaking here. But I think it is a powerful contrast to the current cultural context. The idea that far from, I'm fighting against you, no, I'm fighting against you, this is about giving birth to a new reality where we won't spend any more time struggling against our adversary anymore. This is huge, all right? This is brother against brother stuff. The truth is, Christ consciousness is a galactic being, and Antichrist consciousness is also a galactic being. This is cousins from upstairs are fighting. Family members from a long time ago are fighting. Brothers fighting against brother. And I say this all the time to Christ consciousness. When Christ consciousness is unaware, it's called Antichrist. And when bad things happen, it's pretty much like explaining the last 2,000 years. How can we explain the last 2,000 years? Where's Christ? Christ is supposed to be here. Christ came here. Christ was here. Christ left a message. Why have the past 2,000 years been such a muck and in such a mire? And the answer is because we've been dealing with Antichrist. We have Christ here, and we also have Antichrist. It's like saying, I turned on the lights in this room, and it also cast a shadow. It's amazing how that happens. So in this room, this is a perfect example. There's light and there's shadow. When I reach the higher dimensional understanding, I understand that everything in this room is vibration. Everything in this room is a waveform. And there is simply a spectrum of different waveforms, of different frequencies and wavelengths. We are no longer using these simple definitions of light versus dark, good versus evil, me versus you. Those things no longer apply. We now have a more sophisticated understanding. So instead of looking at the world, first of all, with the flying rainbow lasagna, we resolve duality by understanding that consciousness is moving towards energy, and consciousness is also moving on its journey towards entropy. We also understand that consciousness emanates from the same source. These are all galactic beings that actually come from the same source. They're family members, and they've been fighting it out on every different level, and it's all been distilled down to this moment in time in humanity. So if you have a family member that you are at odds with, like mother, father, brother, sibling, aunt, uncle, whomever, and you're like, I never got along with that person. We've always been fighting it out. You are the fractal, microcosmic reality of the epic battle of humanity, of the stars, of the galaxy, that basically this branch of the family has been fighting against this branch of the family for a long time. And how do we resolve that? By recognizing that we are all members of the same family. We are all consciousness. We are all unity consciousness. So the beings that got mired in light, that are like, I'm all about the light, I'm all about the goodness, and you bad people are naughty, 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 and I like to shake my finger. We must understand that everybody contains a spectrum inside of themselves of all sorts of different behavior characteristics. And so, I was telling you guys, I'm here as Aurora, and I have an unconscious dark side. Oh my God, what would Aurora's unconscious dark side be like? Like a mass murderer? Would I have a chainsaw? What's Aurora's, alter ego like? Well, let's get real. A dark side does not necessarily mean something is bad. It just means something is hidden. It means that there is something that is not in full view. And of course, there are aspects of self, of who I am, and of that significance that are currently hidden from my conscious recognition. I have an unconscious dark side. However, I do not allow negative lower vibrational beings to act through my unconscious dark side. This is the key, that one does not allow oneself to be a conduit or a container for the lower vibrational entities. And so one of the things is, I don't run on humiliation, guilt, embarrassment, shame, or sorrow. Like, not only do I not allow myself to be manipulated by others or engage in those emotions, but I do not use those emotions to manipulate others. So, you know something? I'm not going to make anybody feel guilty if they didn't send me a birthday card, or if they didn't, I'm just thinking of like a silly social, niceism. If they didn't send me a Valentine's Day card last year, I'm not going to be mad at anybody for that. Hold on a second. This is just the idea that these are tools for social manipulation. Society is your cultural operating system. This is the way that these are like the reins and the bridle that are used to lead you around, like the way that a horse is led around. So social control, things like shame and embarrassment. Like, I gotta tell you, that show, Seinfeld, like, a lot of times I didn't find it funny because a lot of it is about social graces and the highly mannered society of Manhattan. And when I would watch an episode, I would think like, well, those people, like, they should just communicate more clearly and this would, resolve this whole issue. And, clearly I had to learn a lot about human behavior and the complexity of subtleties of social fabric, like when you say this, how another person reacts, and how then you react back to this, and how you react back to this. Very little of it is forthright, and a lot of it is very subtle, and these are things that are often learned, in infancy. But what I'm trying to say is that, yes, a lot of that could be mitigated just with better communication. Down to the chat question that came up a long time ago. Got it. Mike was agreeing with me. Gets suggestions for car wrecks all the time. It can be anything. It can be, would you like this disease? Would you like to get a cavity? Would you like it could be any bad thing. Any sense of distress can happen to us. Of course, I'll also say, don't beat yourself up if you experience an actual accident or illness. Like, sometimes they get in through your blind spot. Sometimes they're faster than you are. Like, sometimes even Rocky, gets punched in the face. Like, this is all part of it. The real point here is become unpalatable to the people who are nibbling away at you. The way that you become unpalatable is by mastering your mind and your energy system and creating a vibration of pure love, non-judgment, compassion, self-mastery. I say that I don't force others or control others through things like humiliation and guilt and embarrassment and sorrow. Like, I really don't. If I require something from someone, I ask them in a forthright way, like, hey, can you please do this for me? Or hey, can you please stop doing this for me? Or hey, I'd like to sell this to you for this amount of money. Will you do this? Perhaps that makes me painfully Spock-like and comically literal at times, but that is my general approach. Contrasted with humanity, which is in a lot of ways unhealthy at this point, which use a lot of subtle, non-verbalized cues in order to make people feel bad or unworthy so that they will do the thing that you want or give you the thing that you want. None of that works in the new world. All of that is old paradigm stuff. All of that is like feeding the demons. Anxiety, oh my goodness. So, a lot of people feel anxiety in this time and place, and they take pharmaceuticals, anti-anxiety drugs. And what the pharmaceuticals do is they actually close down the pineal gland. Prozac is fluoxetine and is a derivative or is a similar molecular structure to fluoride. Prozac affects the functioning of the pineal gland. When people have a functioning pineal gland, they often perceive aspects of reality that make them feel uncomfortable. They often see things about their family structure or their spouse or society that make them feel uncomfortable. Like, wow, I think that the Queen of England is actually a corrupt reptilian extraterrestrial. That makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I think I should see my doctor. And people go to the doctor then, and the doctor's like, yes, I will give you this medicine that will close down your third eye so you won't be seeing those pesky things that make you think and make you feel and make you perceive too much. So this is a big part of it. I want to open up the floor to any questions, comments, or discussion. Really, like if you guys need to know, here we go. Question from Noel. Is there a connection to the yellow chakra with the yellow mind? Great question. And other question, is the ego a manifestation of the hacked operating system? Yes and yes. So first of all, let's move this down here. The connection of the yellow chakra and the yellow mind. When I have my picture back here and it has the picture of a person and the chakra, when the chakra is up and down like this, it's in perfect alignment. And when it is tilted to the side, that makes it out of alignment and only a partial perceiver. It's like if you had a screen over half of your eye, or over half of your retina, or if you deactivated half of the cells of your retina. It's like that type of deactivation. The ego itself, okay, it is possible to have a healthy ego that is not a hacked ego or a manifestation of the hacked operating system. So here's the difference between a healthy ego and a hacked operating system ego. Hacked operating system ego says, I'm not as good as Kim Kardashian, I don't have my own reality show, and I certainly can't afford to have butt implants or fancy jeans, with special stitching on the pockets, okay? And non-hacked ego says, I'm so happy and grateful to be who I am because I have the special qualities of, and then fill in the blank of whatever your special qualities are, being an artist or being a poet or being a musician or, being a very kind person or whatever it is. It's very appropriate to have a good sense about yourself, like having a healthy ego, like I'm awesome because of this or that. It is not healthy to have a sense that you're a good person or a valuable person based upon your possessions, based upon your cultural or social context, or based upon the stature that other people give to you with the way they look at you. That's not having a healthy ego. That's having handles. It's like having areas of manipulation. Like, would you like to manipulate me? Like, here, pull on this, pull on this. Having a healthy ego means that you do not seek that level of approval from external authority, that really you have your own innate divine connection and that what you're doing is right and good. So there's no need to be fed by others. That's what this is. It is a sense of energy and feeding off of others or being fed by others or feeding others. When you're really connected to the source, you're connected to a fountain of energy. It's an endless fountain of energy. If you've ever been friends with an artist or with a musician, you've noticed maybe the almost casual offhandedness. That it's if you ever went into an artist studio, you knocked something over and broke it, and they're like, don't worry, I'll make another one. That's easy. That's what it's like when you're connected to source. It's yeah, so I lost a little bit of energy. That doesn't matter. I'm connected to source. I'll just connect and get some more energy. That's what it's like. It's almost casual or taken for granted, but when you have your own innate divine connection, you don't have an economy that's based on fear. You don't have a fear of lack. You can make as many pots as you want, or as many plates, or as many ceramic drinking vessels as you want. It's oh, you broke my mug. That's okay. I can make another. That's how I feel about paintings. If one of them, whatever, gets sold or destroyed or whatever, I can make more, or, I can make one just like that. Yes. So here's the issue. De-hacking your system, de-virus. You got to scan your mind. And this is the process of meditation. It begins with just getting some momentum, which means just sitting in silence and allowing thoughts to go by and not feeding into them. After a little while, you get momentum and you can begin to actually analyze the origin of thoughts, or if there is a particular topic or why that particular thought structure is coming up. And you can begin to be your own computer programmer, where you start to recognize what are the viruses that are plaguing your mind, and then you can start to get rid of them. I will also tell you that there are helpers available to each and every one of us. So there are wonderful healers in the hyperspace realm. There's a whole medical wing or medical zone of the higher dimensional reality, and everybody, there's a team. Like, you can call upon your team and they can help you with not only your biological and cellular difficulties, all of those of the body arise from emotions, and the emotions are the reactions to disturbances of the mind. These are programmers of the mind that can help you in your programming. And you can be empowered. It's not like you just present yourself like the way that people in this time and place present themselves to the shrink, and they say, okay, doc, I'm going to lay down here on this little comfy couch and like, you just tell me that I'm crazy and do whatever you want. Like, it's not like that at all. It is much more like you would bring a problem or a concern to the healers of the hyperspace realm, and they would help you to heal it. So if you say, like, whatever, if you have a bad habit or an addiction like smoking tobacco, and you would go to them and say, healers, I want to heal this in myself, or whatever it is, or healers, I'd like to have a healthier physical physique, or how about this, healers, I feel anxiety, or healers, I feel these negative emotions that I don't like, or healers, I feel anger. Can you please help me with this? And they would, because remember, this is not a magic wand era. This is not where they can just reach in with the magic wand and fix you. If you go to them, though, and ask for help, they will totally help you. And my experience has been like working with computer programmers, where during the day, when these intrusive thoughts come up, I'll flag them. You know, like how on your email you can press flag, like make this stand out. I flag those thoughts so that the computer programmers can see, oh, look at all those unloving thoughts that were trying to go into her head at this time. And I, brush them away, and I don't allow them to come in, and I don't allow it to harm me during the day. But this is an example of the type of working together with higher dimensional spirit beings that we can do in this type of partnership, because it's a co-creative partnership, and it's freedom for both of us. Both the corporeal beings and the non-corporeal beings. Noel says, I have called upon them recently and got an amazing sense of well-being, like problems and worries melting away. That's really big, because the vibration or the tone, the energetic signature of worry is really hard for a lot of the hyperspace beings to communicate through. As soon as you get to that level of worry, it creates like an interference pattern. And then there's a lot of positive beings that are like, I'm trying to get through, but I just can't get through. Like, and I've, believe me, been there and experienced it quite often. Like, I am submerged here in this place, so I can feel what this feels like. So I recognize that when that field of worry is created, it keeps out the positive things that I wish to come in. So what I do is I redirect. Literally, if there's no music playing in the room or in my car or whatever, I will put on a new song. I will be like, it is time for a mental sorbet, a new thing, turn on something new. I will, whatever topic I was thinking about, usually money is what makes me feel worry. Whatever topic I was thinking about, I'm like, let's close that chapter for right now and put on a song, or put on a totally different song, or start a totally different activity and redirect, and give myself a buffer and get together some happiness in that buffer. And then maybe at the end of the day, I might revisit the idea that was making me feel worry, or look at it from a different perspective, or see if I can find a better solution to it, but recognizing that just running in circles and being mired in the feeling of worry really cuts us off from the more positive energy that can actually be a solution to the worry. Yeah, but I mean, not to be too prosaic on that, because it's also totally appropriate at times to be like screaming for help. Really, like it's appropriate when you're in crisis. And I would like to validate each of your life experiences too right now as we're like brothers at arms, like soldiers. We are like going through a very difficult time, and each one of us is fighting a personal battle, and each one of us is fighting for personal freedom. So we have like solidarity and the sense that, nobody is getting a free ride, and this is true of anybody who's here on the planet. So it doesn't matter like if someone has written books, or if they have a lot of social stature, or if they sit on a fancy golden throne and have like a fancy hat. Like, it really doesn't matter. Everybody is still facing all of these negativity problems, because it's like it's the vegetables that are on the plate that need to be eaten for us to get to the next level. The way that we get to the next level is by resolving this duality. We will no longer have beings who occupy the interstices. The interstices will be cleared out. Those beings will all face their karma, and their consciousness will move on. Everybody who is on Earth right now, if their consciousness is not at a vibratory rate that is high enough in order to accommodate the new reality, they will have to occupy a different reality, like a little pocket where they can learn all the lessons they need to learn. Like, if you're not ready to go up to this level of less dense reality and you still need levels of density, that's okay. You can do it over there. And this is really the lesson that we are learning in the universe. You can't kill things. You can't well, that's not true. You can unmake things. But unmaking is like a real level of sophistication that I'm just achieving. And so I cannot grant you that power. And I've only been granted the power to use that with discretion. And the discretion is when you unmake something, you make it as if it never existed. So that means that it never became a negativity, and it never interacted with you, and it never interacted with anyone. But now you have to think about particles as billiard balls, like bouncing off of each other. So if this was negativity, and this bounced off of it, and this bounced off of it, and this bounced off of it, well, if I unmake this negativity, all of a sudden this doesn't bounce off of anything. It keeps going. And this doesn't bounce off of anything. It keeps going. Did these things need to bounce, or did they not need to bounce? This is the question of why negativity exists. So it has been explained to me that I require greater perspective and more sophisticated vision about how and when to best deploy the capacity to unmake. Yes, the butterfly effect, exactly. This is the understanding that what you do has reverberations across time and across many dimensions. And you begin to, understand that reality is very flexible. So you have to be really responsible in the way that you make these choices. This is really like, it's like anything. If you are a surgeon, you are taking great responsibility because you're the person who's actually trained to, with a knife, cut somebody open. So you don't do things like unmake unless you're trained like a surgeon is trained to do things on people's body, unless you're trained to do things at the level of time, because you don't want to just be mucking things about. In that movie, The Butterfly Effect, things did not go well for Ashton Kutcher. Oh, no. Mike is laughing because he knows that movie. I would love to be able to give more guidance and answer more questions on anyone who needs to know how to fight off their personal demons. This is the forum. Like, if you've got problems, if you've got addictions, and also if you don't want to ask those questions while the camera is running, in a few moments, I will wrap up the screen record and we can speak completely, openly if you do not want it to be recorded and placed on YouTube. Question from Noel. Was this whole situation of duality and dueling star children brought about as part of the divine plan? Absolutely. That's a beautiful question. Like, really, thank you for recognizing that, because everything that happens really is happening for divine purpose. Even the idea that there would be star children that would be created Why not, siblings who love each other? When I see pictures of siblings that are getting along really beautifully, or twins that are hugging each other, little infants and they've just been born and they're hugging each other, I think that's really beautiful because, there's a lot of brothers and sisters who just fight incessantly and for no reason and over nothing, and they're, just constantly bickering and not loving. And, there's reasons for that. It's challenging is the answer. That life would be so much easier if we were not challenged by these beings that have a different vibration that might not be harmonious with us. You know what it's like? If you took, I'm thinking of the most divergent flavors possible, something like, pickles and chocolate, two really different types of substances. Like one of those food shows. Tonight on, food challenge, your challenge is make something out of pickles and chocolate. And that's it. You've got these crazy ingredients. You've got to somehow make them work together and be palatable. That's what's going on with human DNA. Human DNA is a mixture of divergent star cultures that are so divergent, it's like trying to put together pickles and chocolate. Really, literally, the Pleiadians, they're like chocolate. They're like, oh my God, smooth as butter, delicious, like wonderful. And then there's the Draconians, and they're like pickles. There's very little common ground between these flavors. And yet some families are blends of these heritages. And some, some earthly families is what I'm talking about. So who you are, who your siblings are, who your mom and dad are, it's kind of like if you look around, if you really could see clearly with everybody's masks off, and you'd be like, oh man, I can't believe I'm in the same family with this guy, because it's like you'd ordinarily never be interacting on an energetic level with people from that realm, from that galaxy. But here in this realm, you're submerged here, giant melting pot, and the reason is because it's necessary to learn. Okay, question from Mike. Will the Dracos ever ascend? The answer is yes, of course. Yes, this is a ascension that is happening to all consciousness and all levels of consciousness here in this realm. So it's every planet that's here and also this whole galaxy. Basically, when I say flush, it's like there is a huge movement of energy that is removing the blockages, or the blockages are being removed in order to accommodate the energy that must flow. Like think about a wall of water that is so powerful that it rolls away boulders because it's like, you're not going to stay. It's that type of huge influx of consciousness energy. So yes, the Dracos are ascending, but the real question is, what does ascension look like to a draconian being? Does it look like they suddenly stop being who and what they are and become what we would want them to be? Or are they allowed to become less and less and less conscious and go into a realm of total entropy and total coldness and total lack of energy and achieve unity consciousness as a Bose-Einstein condensate? And I would say I allow them the choice to do that. Like you have many, many choices. You have the choice of going into the great galactic central sun, which is like being recycled. Your spark of consciousness goes back to energy and all the rest is seen to be like a shadow. Like if you're 1% light and 99% shadow and I throw you into the sun, 1% of you is light, 99% of you can't be there because all there is light. This might be a difficult concept to understand to people that are in the third dimension. Higher dimensional places, there's only light. It's hard to draw a picture of. It's kind of like tiles all next to each other with no gaps. Light, 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 light. Light everywhere. There's just light everywhere. And of course, there is a differentiation between different aspects of light, different colors of light, different densities of light, if it is flowing or if it is, how it is moving or what the shape is like. It's not like saying it's just a giant sea of vanilla. It's not. It is a very beautiful mosaic and tapestry of light, but it's pure light. There's no darkness. There's no lack of awareness. Everything is known. There's no behind the screen. There's no behind my blind side where we don't know stuff. So this understanding is what we apply to the ascended masters. If we say, where you are, there is total light. There is no dark side. So therefore, you must rein in your lower nature because you are totally aware of what it's doing. These are like, when you start to achieve the higher perspective, you start to know your rights, and then you can flex your rights. Like, I know that this is the way the universe is structured, therefore you have to do this or you're not allowed to do this. Really would love to help anyone with any further questions about fighting for personal freedom, best meditation techniques, what happened in Atlantis. You can ask me what is happening right now in terms of consciousness and freedom and the fight for freedom, because some pretty amazing things are happening right now in the war and in the battle plans. Okay, definitely. Okay, well, there are a lot of things that are going on. Oh, wait, there was just a big chat question there. Okay, I'll definitely tell you about the war. Lucy's asking, things that I overcame in the past are becoming a challenge again, and I'm having trouble getting back into my power center. Very difficult to fight back, feeling energy being sucked out, but my awareness seems to be blinded to the truth. What is different in the past year? A lot of things are different in the past year. So what I would say is, do not try to fit back into a suit of clothes that, first of all, is from the past, and second of all, might not have been such a great fit then anyway. Create a new custom tailored suit. So it's all about energetic context. What is going on, like the energetic weather patterns or what's happening in the mass consciousness. Techniques and things that might have worked in the past might not be relevant now. So it's time to do interior house cleaning. You know something? Sometimes it is necessary to go through the closets that are physical, of your physical clothing, and purge out things that you don't need and get rid of them. Sometimes it's necessary to go through the closets of your emotional and interior space and do purging of what no longer serves with that. If you used to have techniques that worked, like I used to tell those demons to go to hell and now it just doesn't do anything, it might be that now you need a finer tool, like, with sandpaper, how you start off with a rough grit and then you get down to finer and finer and finer grits. We are all refining consciousness, and you think like, okay, good, I wiped out most of the demons, my mind is pretty clear. But then, oh, look at that, there's some dirt right there. Oh, look at that, that's the creep right there. Oh, look at that, because I've been experiencing this. It's like every time I get to a level where it's like I'm at, got up to that level, I'm clear now. And then it's like, oh, I'm not actually clear. There's just a more sophisticated attack going on. Don't be concerned. This is the journey. This is how it works. And it does get better. It's like saying, I used to be a kindergartner, being bullied on the playground, then I got some judo lessons, now I'm a second grader and they don't bully me that much. Believe me, eventually it is possible to cultivate yourself into being a black belt. You can be the Chuck Norris of hyperspace reality, and these beings will not mess with you anymore. So continue your training. The training is meditating and unconditional love. I would also really recommend calling upon the Ascended Masters. They are literally there to help, but to help in an empowering way. That's a non-magic wand waving way. So the way Ascended Masters would help by giving you a particular technique to fight, a tool that can help you. It could be a poem or a syllable or a mantra, or an essential oil, or a song to sing, or a visualization of a particular shape. These are all real tools. For example, the Merkaba is a visualization. There are some essential oil sprays that people use in order to cleanse their atmospheres. And there are also, this is from the Hindu tradition, sacred sounds, mantram, that can be used to cleanse the atmosphere. I can tell you what I do in order to cleanse, and this is similar to what the blue whales do. So, when I'm doing my sun gazing, and my housemate can attest to this, I also tone, and I tone up the chakras, beginning with the base, and I do overtones singing. And as I'm singing, I imagine that I'm like a fountain, of beautiful light and energy that is spreading outward from me, and that is having a cleansing and organizing effect. And this is a very effective thing to do. This is like, you're not only cleansing your own body and your room that you live in so that you have like a nice clean house to live in, but you're also cleansing the world. And the more that you do it, and the more that each one of us does this, the more that there's no more perturbations, because there's no place for them to live. So that is one really good practice that I can give to you. And when I say that I tone, so you just saw I sat up more straight so I can have my back straight, and I start off with lowest chakra and with the C note, so we'll do and then I'll usually, so that was 7 octave is 8. This would be going up to the next C, but I usually use that as like going up to white light, to highest consciousness. I'm not certain if the microphone is able to pick it up. Ah, yes, exactly. Thank you for making that distinction. Mike asks, this is the white keys on the piano. That's right. This is the major scale that I just sang. The 8 notes of the white keys beginning with C. I will give in the advanced class the teaching about the chakras, that we are set up very similar to the piano keyboard. We also have minor harmonic spots. So we have the major energy centers, and then we also have minor harmonic centers. And then you can even get more sophisticated in the mapping of the energy centers into that there are just like your heart leads to your aorta, and that leads to your smaller arteries and goes all the way down to your capillaries. Well, it's the same thing with your energy centers, that there's major energy centers that then connect with smaller harmonic minor energy centers, and then connect with even smaller harmonic nodes within that. Our voices are powerful. Even if you do not feel that you have a strong singing voice, please use your voice for its divine purpose. First of all, guard your words. Neurolinguistic programming. You have a powerful tool with your voice. You use it to speak reality into being. Use your words carefully, because when you say things like always and never, or I always this, or I never this, or this will never happen, or this can never happen, you are creating reality. So this is the first thing. If you are open to experimenting with toning, you can choose a scale that works for you. You don't have to worry about whether you're exactly singing the right note. Sing in a range that is comfortable to your voice. And the key is the intent with which you sing. This is key. Our voice is programming reality. You know something? The same words are just empty containers. The same word I can use as either a term of endearment or a total derogatory insult. Like, oh, my little cashew, or stop being such a cashew. Like, it's really easy. It's all about the energy that you place into it. So when you feel free and do some sun gazing, practice some toning, and the visualization is a beautiful bubble of light that is expanding outward from your voice, and that has a cleansing effect, cleansing and organizing the space around you, and that it emanates outward, and that you also recognize others are doing the same thing, and this is clearing the space. We are literally helping to clear the space of Earth by doing this. And Here's why it's ethically appropriate interdimensionally. Because although it's not cool for you to impose your will upon someone else, it is cool for you to control your own environment because you are a sovereign being. So, I don't give you permission. You all are currently claiming your permission to control your environment because you are a sovereign being. So I'm going to end the record, but I'm not ending the session, don't worry, but I'm just going to press end on this.